Hello, everyone. This is Reed Kastner-Lang, host of Dharma Unfiltered, coming in from Ottawa, Wisconsin, Kettle Golf Course, hole number 5. We're here with Justin Haldemann, 24 years old, from Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin. This is going to be a very, very interesting talk, I think. Justin, introduce yourself. Who are you? What is your background? What do you do?
Well, my name's Justin. I'm actually jobless right now, so nothing there. I started creating my own business. That's why, which I have a business called Arc Records, and I am also an artist with, I'd say mainly just rap music. And my stage name is Taylor Season. I have a SoundCloud. That's about it right now. But I work with Ostrage with Jacob Robbie. He was in one of the past podcasts here with Ethan, and pretty much just want to talk to everybody about having faith with God and just having that higher knowledge of highest self. So you're not living in fear and you're allowed to, accomplish your dreams and your goals and do all of that without having to have fear. That's about what pretty much all I really want to talk about.
Cool. So were you always, I guess, did you grow up in a religious family? Were you always religious in a sense?
No, I actually never went to church, none of that. I started all this really started when I was talking with Jake, and he told me about these conversations with God books. And I started reading those, and that kind of changed my whole perspective. And I started walking around a lot thinking like I have lived with fear like a lot of my life, and I've always like ruined a lot of good situations for myself because of having fear. So it really opened me up and realized like, hey, why should I be scared to do this when why should I care if somebody else what they think about me? So I pretty much just started praying, and the more that I pray, like at night, 'cause I usually pray at night and maybe read a little bit of the Bible or something. Every night that I read or pray, and I can tell my conscience is a lot more clear the next day. Every day, like my conscience is more and more clear, and I attract things, and I just live in the moment instead of worrying about the future or worrying about the past. And that's all just because I started reading Conversations with God. And I honestly think that's a really good book for anybody to start out with. But
Yeah.
that's just the starting point for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So me personally, I was on kind of grew up on the same page. Like we never, my parents are not super like religious at all. My grandparents are. Some other people in my family are. So I went to church a few times with my grandparents, and it was I I guess I've never been a huge fan of organized religion in general. Like I didn't take away as much from, I guess, the teachings or what they were saying or what they were reading from the Bible as I did from just the community and the peacefulness found at the church. And I think we're in a day and age where it is very people in general are very, very in an us versus them mentality, and a
yeah,
lot of
judgmental.
right, and a lot of people will look at the church as all bad or look at religion as all bad.
Yeah,
There's also a lot of people that are in the church that are judgmental of those that aren't. So I think what it really comes down to in, I guess, like religious beliefs and those bigger like ideologies, it's really just do what like makes you most at peace on earth, and don't um because everyone is different,
yeah,
not everyone wants to go to church, not everyone wants to read the Bible. I'm not that into any one religion, but I think more than anything, just I've became in the past few months a lot more mindful in general. And you were saying kind of just praying. For me, that's literally sitting on my bed for 10-15 minutes with nothing, with just my thoughts, and that's it.
yeah, just meditating, kind of.
Yeah, and not even know like or whatever. Like I'm
Well, yeah, there's all different ways to meditate, and it's
yeah,
all just how you're comfortable with it.
right. But just kind of like you said, just giving your brain and you're giving your brain time to breathe and time to absorb all the constant stimulation that we're constantly faced with is something that helps a lot and that most people aren't doing, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's not even to say like you have to go to church, like to have faith in God. All you have to know is that you have faith and that you're thankful for every opportunity that He gives you. Like you
Mhm.
don't need to go to church. You don't need to read the Bible. There's no such thing as the Ten Commandments. Like none of that's really a big impact on how you live your life. The only thing you should ever worry about is finding the things that you love to do and finding the things you don't enjoy doing and take away all the negatives, all the things you don't like, and just focus on everything that's positive that you love doing.
Mm,
And you'll never live a bad day in your life because there's always good in every single day. So
definitely. And good even in the bad, because the good wouldn't be as good without the bad. And so that's some why I look at like this as heaven on earth, because I look around me, whether I'm literally looking around me right now in like a house, or I look around me wherever I am, it doesn't matter. It's like this is like literally like heaven on earth. Like, but
yeah,
it's a complete perspective thing. It's like that's my perception of it. Now, you know, someone else in the same exact environment may not look at it the same.
yeah. Well, you can only control what's in front of you, you know? Like you can't control what's going to happen in the future, and you can't control what happened in the past. And the past is in the past, and the future is in the future. If you just live in the moment that you're living in and focus on what you can do right now and then, like that's all you can focus on, and you can make that either a really good situation, or you can sit there and think about how much stuff you have to do for the future and stress yourself out and just build up all these thoughts on thoughts on thoughts, or just realize what's in front of you and make the most of what you got.
Yeah, I think it's really just an energy game. It just comes down to energy. Like you're gonna feed,
Yep,
like you can either feed the good energy or you can feed the bad energy, and it's as simple as that. Like
exactly.
if you want to constantly put, like, I don't know, social media is interesting because if you use it the way that the majority of people use it, and you're constantly consuming mainstream news and just all the negativity, political negativity, everything going on in the world, yeah, like you're not going to feel that good. But I've started to just like follow different like spiritual accounts and different, like there's other
Yeah,
content that you can consume. It doesn't have to be limited to CNN and Fox News. You can consume content that every time I go on Instagram, instead of seeing that bullshit, like I see things that actually raise my energy.
yeah, like positive, like influences, like third eye thoughts and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what that's what I follow too. And I don't even really go on social media that much because I feel like everybody's just competing with each other.
Yeah.
So I just I just surround myself with things that are positive and like nice looking cars, big houses, stuff that I want like in my future to be. That's what I want in my life, and I want to bring that in abundance. So if that's the only thing I'm seeing, that's the only thing I'm going to work towards.
Mhm.
So, and like having positive quotes and all that, that all leads up to just having more and more positive thoughts and
Mhm.
positive outcomes, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that.
Yeah. I'm just starting to read like Think Rich, Grow Rich, and it's almost to the point where you can kind of already know what the whole book is going to be about by the title. Like it's basically like if you can control your thoughts and you can control your outcomes 90% of the time, and the things that you can't, like, so just um
Hmm.
to really, like you said, manifest the things that you want in life, and not only in the information and content that you consume, but I think also definitely in the people that you surround yourself with, because that's huge. Like I've
Oh yeah,
narrowed down my friend group into 4 or 5 really close friends, and we're all trying to do the same thing. Like it's not high school anymore. There's no status. It don't matter. Like it's just, we're all, fresh out of high school. We're like, yes, finally some freedom. Finally I can do what I want. And so it's like
yeah,
surrounding yourself with people that are thinking. I think on that same high vibration wavelength, but also bringing different ideas to the table is super important.
Yeah. And speaking of those high vibrations, I'll even lay in my bed and just go on YouTube and listen to certain vibration frequency videos and just sit down for like 10, 15 minutes and clear my head.
Mhm.
And I'll just feel like a completely different person by the time I'm done. Just like a clear mind and just, I don't know, it's weird. It's like you move into a different dimension
Yeah,
afterwards a little bit, you know?
yeah. There's so many ways like to just get high off life. Like if you
Yeah.
but it just comes down to what you want to do. Like it just comes down to how you want to see it.
Yep. And like, I mean, you can take a bad situation. So, like, here's an example of, say you had a really bad breakup with your girlfriend, right? Like, all of that, you can take it as poorly as you want and be as mad about it as you want to be, but it all happened for a reason, to either make you a stronger person or to bring you something better in your life, or maybe for you guys to reconnect later in the future, because it wouldn't have worked at that time, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you can just take every situation that's bad and just try to look at it in a good way. You'll never live in a bad way, pretty much, because you're looking at everything from a positive perspective. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think that even it comes down to even like this conversation we're having right now. Like we're me and you are already on a higher vibration than we were 3 minutes ago. Like
oh
and,
yeah,
and the people
100%.
listening right now are it's not something that you can, it's subconscious. Like it's not something you can measure. It's just literally like it's so hard to explain. It's like
Yeah, frequencies are kind of crazy.
yeah,
They're it's like rocket science in a way.
yeah. I, when people say that that they don't believe in God, um, I I have nothing wrong. People, you can have your own opinion,
Yep.
but I mean, to me, it really comes down to again, just look around us. Just like what's crazy to me is the intellectual capabilities that humans have that no other animal does. And it's as simple as that. And the civilization that we have built over the years and the things that we continue to build is something that just blows my mind. And that's almost irrefutable.
That's the thing, is like, how can there be no God when we're all creating something together? Like, even the people that are like negatively thinking and just like always have bad outlooks on life or don't believe in God, like, what do you think that the purpose of this place is? Like, just to live a life? No, there's a higher purpose. It's to create heaven on earth. Like, that's literally what the purpose of everybody on earth is for.
Mhm.
It's just to create heaven on earth and experience it and love it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And people don't understand that because they're so stuck in their own ways and never want to listen more than talk. So that's just what happens. That's the reason I wanted to do this podcast, is to help people realize that there's a higher purpose for everything, and you can have that if you want it, but you got to be open to doing it.
Yeah. So what if there's someone listening right now, and I know there is, that is kind of thinking that, and that is thinking, they haven't really ever, they're just going through the motions. They haven't really ever thought about that higher purpose. um I guess what action, I'm a big fan of action plan, exact what actions will I guess yield a result. So what are, I guess, first steps for someone who wants to start to realize that?
That's a funny question. So actually, the way that I figured all this out, which is not the way that people should figure it out, is I took acid, and I took that a couple times, and I got into a really bad accident, actually, in a car accident, and that didn't turn out too well. But I learned a lot from it, and it really made me appreciate life. And um, just being with the friends that I have, we all were kind of searching for the same thing, anyways. And like, reading those conversations with God was an impact prior to tripping on acid. So like, we already were kind of looking into this stuff,
Yeah.
and but tripping on acid really allows your brain to connect with another part of your brain that's never connecting, And I'm not saying to do acid because acid is not like a safe thing to do. Like you can do some really stupid shit on it. So, but it was just something that really pushed me to realizing like how important and how grateful life really is, because you are given every opportunity to do everything you love, but you can push yourself away from doing those things by having all that fear and everything. And that's one thing I just started letting go of. And that's what acid really opened my mind up with, is letting go of the fear.
Mhm.
Like I even have on my mirror, it says no hate, no fear, and no anger. And that's like just something I repeat to myself a couple times a day, because there's no reason for any of that. You should just treat everybody with love, and just that's all it really takes, is just to treat everybody as one and treat others how you want to be treated.
Mhm.
And you'll go in the right direction. You don't need drugs to figure it out. You just have to realize, like, treat everybody like you want to be treated, and that's how you'll get there in life, pretty much.
Yeah. No, I mean, psychedelics in general are just interesting because it's like there's this alternate universe that you would have never even known was there. Like,
Mhm.
and all it takes is that. But um, ooh, I just think it's a way. I just think any sort of negativity, when you really break it down, is just a waste of time. And once you start, I feel like once you start to like not be negative, or no hate, no anger, whatever, like it's just gonna continue. Like it's just building every single day that you kind of have that mindset. It's just continuing to build. And like I look at it as like a force field around you, like literally, like that's if the things that I'm receiving. So we have receptors. We have our eyes. We have our mouth. We have our ears. Like, or we have our skin. Like those are receptors, and so that has everything to do with like the sun. Like sun is important. Obviously, what you eat is important. Everything that you consume, and especially what you see and hear, most of all, is most important. So
Yeah, just having that awareness.
right, right. So, the more good stuff that you kind of feed into that, you're building up your force field. And if you as a person, if someone as a person isn't building my force field to negativity, then why? Like what, you know what I mean? Like it's like, so that's some
Yeah.
of the tough decisions that I think for people starting on this journey, um, it's some tough decisions that you kind of sometimes have to make in terms of cutting certain people off, or at least spending less time with people that aren't positively impacting your vibration.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are really blind to this, and like people aren't just don't like change. People like to be stuck in the ways that they're comfortable with, and they don't want to try something new because they just like what they have, and they don't want to take that next step to figuring out who they really are, because they're comfortable with being in that situation. But like, this is a perfect example for myself. I've never been really a social person. I don't talk. I'm kind of a shy guy. I never really go out to talk to people or anything. And like, but I know that there's a higher purpose for me. And like, sometimes you just got to push yourself past those uncomfortable situations to help others out. And like, it's not just for yourself, it's to benefit for everybody.
Mhm.
So like, I cut a lot of people out of my life that just had a really bad negative impact on me, but I've kept everybody else that has had really positive impacts on me and has faith in like what I want to do in life, because I love music, and that's like pretty much all I really do, is just make music and focus on my own business. And I mean, as of lately, I lost my job kind of, and I actually quit, but it was because I realized I didn't want to do it. And like with the COVID thing, I just was like, well, screw it. I really don't care, because everything's going to come to me naturally. I have faith with what I'm doing. So now I live with my grandma, and I know I'm here for a reason, to help her out, because she's got a bad leg, and she's got a little bit of a messy house, because my mom actually died when I was 10. So she's got all of her stuff, and then my great grandma and great grandpa stuff, and it's all just built up. So I'm helping to go through everything. And I just realized it's like, as much as it's helping me build as a person and giving to her and being a light worker, helping people out. It's also helping myself, like maybe change something about my temper if I get mad at something stupid, you know what I mean? Like everything, I've just looked at it from a different perspective to build for myself. And instead of sitting there complaining about it, just do it because it's going to only benefit me with the situation. So, I mean, that's just kind of what I've been going through lately. And honestly, it's never put me in the wrong direction so far, just having faith in all of it. So that's why I feel like a lot of people need to hear this message and why it should be out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, I think that's powerful. I think that there's definitely a lot to learn just from being in your position, or basically any position that isn't necessarily the norm, for a 24-year-old. And I think that you focusing on your music is huge, because I found that, like, just like entrepreneurship, or just like doing your own thing, is the is kind of like a fast track to finding yourself. And it's like it's like the capitalistic way to find yourself, in a way, because you're not
Yeah.
because you like, I don't have to go to work with people that I don't like. And that alone, some people will say, oh, well, you got to figure out how to work with people that you don't like. Why? That's not necessarily true. Like, well, because you'll have to work somewhere. Why? That's not necessarily like
Yeah, dude.
because it's
I
like
totally get that.
it's just like just the societal matrix that has developed. And that happens. It happens in every civilization, like, in that, the majority of men end up doing this, the majority of women, like that. It's just the way that like civilizations work. But to deviate from that is not only going to benefit, yourself, but it's also going to most likely benefit the world, because now you're putting music out there that can completely alter a person's consciousness. And that's, I'm sure, um, part of the reason that you enjoy doing it, in addition to just enjoying doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have a really good point there. Is my grandma always argues with me about like that I need to find a career, I need to find a job. And I'm like, why? Why do I need to find a job? Why can't I do the things that I enjoy doing and
Yeah.
make my own business? And you're like, you're just so stuck in the way that everybody, I really don't like the government for a lot of like reasons, because they put the fear in people that they should get a job and pay for the things that they need to pay for, when in reality you should be focusing on yourself and finding the things you love to do and be investing in that stuff, and everything will just come to you naturally. You don't need a job, you don't need to do what other people tell you to do. You should do what you want to do, and that's it.
Hmm.
And if you focus on yourself, it's not selfish, because if you really focus on yourself for like a better, like a good reason, like just find out who you want to be and what your purpose on this world is, then you can't really do anything negative to affect anyone else, because you focusing on yourself is only going to bring good to others.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no easier way to explain it. It's just focus on you and you can't do wrong.
Hmm. So you graduated high school, you did the electrician apprenticeship right out of high school for how many years?
Oh, no, I did not. I actually, out of high school, I worked for my grandpa. And actually, I worked on cars first, and then I worked for my grandpa, who owns a construction company. And then I worked for an electrician company, and then I got the apprenticeship with that. And I was in that for about a year and a half, the apprenticeship. And overall, I was electrician for like 3 years.
Okay.
And I just like, I had this like little heart condition. I just wasn't eating properly. I was abusing Adderall, and like, I just was not taking care of my body. And I could tell like something was not right with me.
Hmm.
And I guess I didn't work for like 3 months. And when I didn't work for 3 months, that's when I really started opening up my mind and realizing like, holy shit, like I don't need a job. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I just realized how much more I was accomplishing with not having a job and finding out the things that I loved about myself and what I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, with everything that happened at the same time, it was obviously benefiting me, but I was just capable of making all the music I want to make. And I just was so much more focused on taking care of better care of my body and just doing things that really benefited myself and figuring out the things that I didn't like doing. And it just opened up a whole new world for me, pretty much. So it was like when I quit my job, it actually was for the better of me. So
Because when you quit, that kind of like cemented it in your mind that like that's it. Like this is it. Like it's go
mhm.
time or no time. Like it's like, is that kind of how you felt? Like there's no other option.
Yeah, I was just like, what does it matter? Because I know, like, I have faith in God, and every time, like, ever since I've really been like walking with God and just trusting that everything happens for a reason and that I should just treat others with respect and care about them. I've I haven't had a single bad day. I would say I've like the last half a year has been perfect. Even though I've had bad things happen, I just know they're for good reasoning,
Right.
and I've never been happier in my whole entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I haven't had like, I've lost so much stuff, but I still have so much more because I appreciate life with like a whole different outlook. So
Because you have gratitude for those things that you have, and those things that you have are still very, valuable at the end of the day.
exactly, I just surrounded myself with the things I love and got rid of the things I don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And I just accepted that this is all I need in my life and everything else will come to me in abundance. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried about being successful. I'm not worried about any of that stuff because I know that it'll all come to me
Yeah.
just with doing what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's tough, with for most people to get to the point where you're at spiritually and mentally, because um we're constantly in especially in kind of the school system, in like elementary school and in middle school, especially in high school. um we're told that, okay, we have to do these classes, we have to do and then you get to junior year, kids are applying to college and trying to figure out what they want to do, but that's probably not what they really want to do. Like to be put on the scene, when you're 19 in college and be told, okay, now's your sophomore year, now's the time you got to figure out what your major is, I think is crazy. Like these, like, but that's the problem, and that's the matrix that we're in, and that's how do you think that people, and especially like kids, like high school kids, middle school kids, especially high school kids who are going to be graduating high school soon, can kind of figure out like what their purpose is at an earlier age, rather than going through the motions, doing what society says to do, and then when they're 50 saying, fuck, like I regret doing all of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you look at it, like, you can either be 50 years old and be a millionaire through working through a company you hated working for your whole entire life. At the end of the day, you're going to come home and you're going to be like, fuck, I just hate my life. I literally go to work. Yeah, I make a shit ton of money, but what's it for? I hate what I do, like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't want to go to work and hate what you do. So if you just take it as when you leave high school, it's okay to go to college. Like, if there's something you want to do that is something college has to offer, then you should take that route 100%. But you don't need college if there's something else you want to do. Like, my passion is music, so I don't really need to go to college for music. I'm just naturally have like a better drive with it, and I understand music a lot more than a lot of other people. So, I mean, it just really depends on the things that you manifest and like what you want for a career. It's not technically a career if it's a passion you have.
Mhm.
So I would just say whatever your passions are is what you should relate your source of income to be a part of. And if you can do that, then you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it really comes down to just the Venn diagram of what do you love, what can you make money doing. you know, and you don't need the money, but you gotta at the end of the day, everyone's got to make some money.
Yeah.
But I just think like real world experience, just period, is more important than like anything else. Like that's like you're gonna learn the most not only about whatever field you're in, but also about yourself by putting yourself in an environment that you're not necessarily used to or comfortable in, you know, and whatever it be. Like honestly, um, even if it's going to college in a different place in another state, like going to college in Miami for me has been huge because I've probably said this quote 10 times on this podcast. Matthew McConaughey said sometimes you gotta leave what you know to find out what you know.
Yeah, I like see his commercials and stuff too. Like those always are a huge impact on my life whenever I hear Matthew McConaughey talking.
Yeah, yeah. No, you got to read his new book, Green Lights. It's incredible.
I'll have to look into that.
But yeah, I mean, it's like literally. I mean, I was in a horrible place mentally, like probably end of junior year through like the summer that like through like whatever 5 months ago, like before I went to Miami. Like I was just like lost, and it was to me it was like I was trying to figure out what it was, and the easiest way I can explain it is just super cloudy, very like not depressed, but just very low energy, like vibrations were very low.
Yeah, I know.
And because I was seeing like a therapist or whatever you want to call it, psychologist, and absolutely no help. Like she thought I was trying to do too much by working on two businesses, and then I had school and all this, and she's like, can you just cut one of them out? I said, I was convinced that it was something like physically wrong with my brain or something. That's how bad it was. And then I I went to Miami and I got COVID the first day, like move-in day, and then my mom was luckily there. We stayed at a place on the beach, and I deleted Snapchat. I spent those whatever 10 days of quarantine just kind of spending a lot of time just thinking and just giving myself time to just take a really 10-day deep breath and say, okay, this is the turning point in your life. And I literally just manifested that, and getting out of the situation that I was in, not only physically, but the things that I was doing, and you know, getting into a completely new situation really helped me to just get on a much higher wavelength. And it literally flipped like night and day, like 180 degrees, like completely over the course of like 2 weeks. It's crazy. And that's like one of the things that has made me more believe in God or whatever. So
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I guess that's how I can kind of like um, relate to that, like that spiritual journey.
Yeah, I'd say like the more that I've waken up, it feels like the whole world is kind of waking up. Like you just see like a lot of people are talking higher and like realizing like kind of that the government does push us towards, fear, and that we need to have these jobs, and not even that it's the government, but the government does kind of fuck us over because they just want power,
Mhm.
and they want money, So I'm not saying everybody in the government is bad. It's just I just don't like the things they represent sometimes. And
Yeah, I think that has to do with the law of attraction, that you're seeing that more. And I agree, because I mean, you get in what you put out. So like when I say this right now, when you say this right now on this podcast, I've had people like friends and stuff watch some of my podcasts and hit me up and say, hey, I really like what you're doing. And then we have a conversation about it. That wouldn't have happened. Like that message, would not have been attracted to me if I had not put the content out.
yeah,
Like
you're opening new doors every time you do something.
that.
That's the thing, is every action is going to lead to multiple doors opening up, and you just get to pick which doors you want to open. So pretty much it's you just don't take any, like, opportunities for granted. If somebody says, "Hey, do you want to go to the grocery store like with me real quick?" Like, go. Why not? Like, you could be opening a whole new path because you're gonna die when you're supposed to die. You can't prevent that.
Yeah.
Like, you when you're supposed to die, you're gonna die. It doesn't matter how it happens. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own destiny. So, and once you reach that ultimate destiny, like, I mean, when you die, there's nothing to be afraid of death because you just go into actual heaven. Like, there's no such thing as hell. Hell is just here on earth that we create.
Mhm.
So, I mean, just take every step you can to do something different, to do something instead of being lazy and sitting at home doing nothing.
Mhm.
Like, or if you're happy with sitting at home playing video games, if that's what you enjoy doing, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying if somebody brings up an opportunity for you, don't waste it because it could lead to something really good. You could run into a girl at the grocery store that could change your life forever, or just
Yeah.
finding a relationship or something like that. So that's why I just look at life with a greater perspective and realize that there's a lot of options out there for you to reach your destiny, and you
Mhm.
can choose how you want to take it.
And I think embrace life. Like I was thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking, well, embrace the bad, embrace the good, but just embrace life because I hate like that at the end of the day, these words that we're saying are all made up. Bad, good, bad. Those things are made up concepts. Like the
Yeah,
word bad is like made up. Like I could call it's perception. It's like I could call something that you think is bad good. Like
yeah,
just embracing everything. And I've gotten to the point where, I have, narrowed my friend group and narrowed the people that I surround myself with to the point where any of these people that normally hit me up and they want to do anything. I literally am down to do anything because it's going to be something cool, some that could potentially open doors. But I was thinking like all the quote unquote bad things that we label as bad in life, those are the greatest things because every bad thing prepares you, for something in the future. Like I was just it is so stupid. Like I was driving my car a few weeks ago and I was on this back road and it just starts like smoking, like the
oh
radiator
boy,
it gets shot and like I pull over, it's like it's it's the night, it's like 15 degrees out and I did get the car towed and all this shit. But like I was me a year ago would have been like out of my mind, like what the hell is this shit? But I was just like the ability to just remain calm in any situation is the strongest superpower that anyone can have.
yeah. I mean, there's no reason to put yourself through anger and hate, like getting mad about it. You can't do anything. It happened. Just deal with it. You can only deal with it the best possible way you can. So that'd be to just do it in a calm manner and just figure it out. And there's no reason to sit there and start swearing and start kicking your car or something because it's just not going to lead to anything better, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Um, it's really it's a choice. It's a choice, and if you want to live a good life, you live a good life. If you don't, you don't. But I mean, I've been thinking a lot about just the concept of general just perspective, and it's like I watched a lot of Joe Rogan, and he had this like ex-astronaut on and who was up in space for like 200 days or something. And he said since he's gotten back, he's traveled all over the world and he always feels like he's at home because he's seen that perspective. And like a lot of people haven't even thought of like the the I mean, since I was a little kid, I've been thinking about how small we are, like in general, like just how
yeah.
so I like just the perspective that like we're so small relative to the entire universe. Just that makes me believe that really in the grand scheme of things, nothing really matters. But that in turn is why you have nothing to lose. And that's like why every single second matters.
Yeah, like I mean, I just watched actually a movie with Matthew McConaughey. I think it was called Contact or something. It's actually a really good movie, but it's like kind of about what you're saying. I mean, like I would love to go to outer space. I think space is awesome. Like there's no way in how I would turn down the option of being able to do it. But at the end of the day, the possibility of getting there is pretty slim. Like just for, you know, you'd have to there's so many things, so many steps, but if you're meant to do that, like you'll find a way. But when I was watching that movie, it showed like pretty much everything through frequencies, and it had this whole concept of uh, they made contact with this frequency, which led to like a blueprint of how to build something, and then they built it. And she went through all these steps just to get to this point, and then some guy was like, "No, I'm gonna take the trip, whatever." And at the end of the day, that guy ended up that guy actually ended up dying. Never got to go through the whatever they built, the machine or whatever. But she ended up getting to do it, and it changed her whole perspective on life because she had no faith in God or anything. And I think after they built that mechanism that she went through, it changed her whole perspective, but it didn't do anything else for the entire world, which was the crazy thing. It was just for her to find a different perspective on life. And it was really cool. And I thought that's kind of like how my life has been. Like I've gone through all this stuff to get to this point to realize like life has a bigger purpose than just one individual.
Hmm.
So it's everybody's got to work together. And in order to get things, you have to give. So the more you give, the faster you'll end up receiving. It's
Yeah.
not even being like as a selfish way, but you just have to help others, especially the people you care about. And if you do that, there you can't go wrong. So
Right. And just opening your eyes to everything, like to sit down and just appreciate everything, like just look around you and just like appreciate everything. And sometimes I just like kind of play like imagine in my head like I'm like a time traveler or something, like I'm like, and that could either be from the past or from the future, like like I this is part of history. Like I always think it'd be cool just like time traveling would be cool. Like time traveling would be cool to go to the 1960s, go to 2080, but it won't when if you were to time travel to either of those, wouldn't you be like extremely like present and be like looking at everything because there's always something new, like that's what I try to do now, because like kind of bringing that perspective and being extremely present in every single moment is where all of life is, like that life, all the answers are all the keys to happiness, I believe, are right in front of us. Like it's really if you just open your eyes, or are you going to sit on your phone like every other person? Like it's a matter of if you want to open your eyes.
yeah, I mean, one thing I've really changed about myself is talking. Like I just shut up and I just listen now, and I just have the awareness of what people are saying around me and what their thoughts are. And I don't necessarily have to agree with anybody else's thought, but as long as I'm listening and have different perspectives on the same thing, they're like it's you're just learning more and looking at things from a different way. It's I don't know, I just learned like there's a lot of cool things. Like I've just been hearing about Miami. The more that I've like said I want to live in Miami, the more I hear about Miami. And now I'm talking to you and you're going to school in Miami. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's just so many things that lead to me knowing that I'm on the right path. And that I was going to bring this up before, like angel numbers. Like when you look at the clock and you see 1111 or you see 222, you know, just realize if you see that a lot of times, like one, you're on the right path, and two, you can look that up. They have websites literally that just say angel number meanings and like what it means to see that number repetitively. And that's been a big impact on my life too, because I've realized like I'm gaining all this momentum in life and gaining all this abundance of things, and it's making me see like everything I've manifested from the last couple of years is coming into my life right now. And it's crazy to think that, but that's what's been has been happening ever since I've been open-minded and realizing all of this. So that's why I think people really need to wake up.
Hmm. I think it's hard a lot of times when you're in the day to day, and when you're in, like, for example, when I was at my worst mentally, it was when I was getting up early and for senior year of high school, like all my class, it was literally a complete waste of time. I wasn't, I could tell myself like, oh, just, I'm going to enjoy this final kind of camaraderie of high school, but I would try to be as positive as possible, but sometimes there's just a point where it's just not right for you anymore. Like I was just so fucking fed up with all the high school bullshit. Anything, whether it was Spirit Week or basketball games, I didn't care about it. I just wanted to get out into the real world. And then over the summer, we have this landscaping business, and I would landscape like every single day. And just to have that, like, that, even though it was our business and my business, like it was like I still had put pressure on myself that, all right, 5 6 days a week until you go to Miami. And that was hell. It was really, I created a sort of hell for myself in my head because I was just not gaining anything out of it. I felt like I could have been doing much more effective, not to say that's not effective, but more effective things with my time, and to be able to eventually get away from that um, helped me a lot. But when you get caught up in a career, and when you get up, like, I don't like the idea of a career. Like, I don't want to ever be weighed down to one thing. I want to be able to just, no matter what the moment is, no matter where I'm at, like, I just want to be able to do what I want to do in that exact like moment.
Yeah, enjoy in life. That's how life should be looked at, is just to enjoy every moment of it. It's not necessarily you have to be happy every moment, but to handle it the right way and the way that you want to, where you're comfortable. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't not try things that you like. You have to try things in order to know whether or not you like it. So people really need to figure out the things they really do like. And even if you're trying things that you're not used to, like, you can end up finding something you really love to do.
Mhm.
And that's what my friend like Jake Rabe, he opened me up to music. I always had a deeper passion for music than like most people. I've always known that. And I never recorded or anything like that. I wrote songs, and then I hung out with him one day after he wanted to talk to me about financial stuff, just because he's a financial advisor.
Mhm.
And he opened my life up to a whole new world, technically, just because I sat down and recorded one song. And now I've been doing it for the last year and a half, 2 years. And that's what my life purpose is. Like, and that's what I figured out.
Mhm.
So it's kind of cool. Just doing things that you're not used to doing, and you can find something you really love doing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where all the excitement and fun comes in life. Like, so do you record at your grandma's house there, or where do you record mainly?
Oh no, she doesn't let me record here because it's an apartment. But I usually record at Jake and Joe's,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I used to record back at my apartment. But once I get out of here, which I'm sure won't be long, I'll probably be here for maybe a couple more months. I'm not really sure. I'm not worried about it. I'll leave when I'm supposed to. But I mean, I just still love mixing music, and I like mix music for Jake and all of my other friends. So either way, I still have a connection with it, even though I'm not recording as much as I want to. And I mean, I'm fine with that because I know I'll lead to something better. Because I have been helping my grandma, and I've been staying busy doing things that have kept me busy in a good way. So
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your ultimate goal?
honestly, build my own business, become an artist, like have an impact, like Juice World has on a lot of people, or J. Cole has a huge impact on a lot. Like, I just want to have my own purpose. So like, I want to help people in my own words,
Mhm.
and just let people know they're not alone, and everybody's experiencing these things. Like, and it's okay that you are, because you're not the only one. And I just want to be able to help people out in that way. I want to help people like that have disabilities, have fundraisers, charities, all that kind of stuff, and just really help the world and give to the world, even though I mean, I do, of course, I want to have money and I want to have things like I want a McLaren, I want a nice house. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things I want, and I know that I will get those things, but it's not the reason I'm getting those, that I'll have those things, is because I'm trying to help the world and not just myself. But
Right.
I'm helping
Right.
myself to help the world. That's the thing.
Right.
And if
Right.
you're helping yourself to help the world, everything will come to you.
Yeah. 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 I agree. Yeah. It's just so important to, like servant leadership. Like it's something that I've looked at a lot. Like just like I've always been. I just hate the word like corporate. I'm all about like grassroots. Like if you, I'm not gonna complain about like what certain politicians or what side one side of politics is doing. Like I feel like I have no right to do that if I'm not doing anything myself, like to make the world better. And that's another, issue that we've ran into, especially recently, just with the political polarization. Like people are just so divided, and yet like they're not even doing things like to help in their own community. Like they're not even being nice to the people in their own community. Like it's like if people would stop worrying so much about like what these politicians are doing, and like literally like you can make a change by yourself, whether it's a small change and just being like a nicer person, or whether it's like building a business or building a podcast or building music or whatever it is. Like we can make a lot more impact than I think a lot of us realize.
Yeah, I mean, you can change the world by changing one thought. That's literally what it is. Like, you can change the way you view the world in one thought. Like,
Mhm.
you can either choose to look at all of this hate, all this anger, all this like being divided and picking a side, or you can choose to accept everybody the way they are and just love everybody for who they are. And only thing that you can focus on is to love yourself. Once you love yourself, you'll help people all around you become a better person and find out what they want to do and who they want to be. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's really, it's crazy that the way to life is honestly just to be selfish, but for the right reasoning, you know?
Yeah. I think
That's what,
Matthew McConaughey called it egotistical utilitarianism. So yeah, like selfish, but it's for the greater good.
exactly, yeah. That's really what life is. It's just figuring out what you love to do and then being the best at it you can be. That's
Definitely.
all it is, because you'll never hate a day in your life because you'll be doing everything you love.
Hmm.
So
And then as I'm reading this book, like I'm like I don't read a lot of books, but this one I just like you got to get it because like I just started. It's a page turn. I just started reading it, but like you know, obviously he's a super famous actor that has been in all these different super famous movies, and like he's talking about just like his childhood and growing up in a very just middle working class family in Texas. Like he's, um, but kind of going very into detail on stories that most people would think is just like normal, like just average, like day-to-day stories. But um he really dove into how those stories and how those things that have happened to him were for all the right reasons,
yeah,
and things that may seem very small. So that's kind of that has helped me change my perspective a lot also. Like just after reading this, it's like we literally have the ability to impact the world, just that alone at scale, like however much we want, and just that alone is just like that's all I need to know. Like all I need to know is that, and that, and
yeah,
any and to I became I think it's all about becoming like intentional about your actions and your words. Everything that you put out needs to be very intentional.
yeah. I 100% agree with that. Honestly, I honestly think like talking more than listening is kind of a negative thing. Like, I think everybody should just learn to really listen more and absorb what's going on around them and what other people's opinions are, so it can, it cannot just change your own opinion, but it can also make you realize like different outlooks on life, just to be able to understand life in different ways. So, but I do have to get going, buddy. My grandma is about to be back, and I got to go do some grocery shopping with her. So it was really fun talking to you. I hope we can actually do this again sometime too. That'd be
Definitely,
cool.
man. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I'll get this uploaded here on YouTube and Spotify. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too, buddy.
Bye.